Peace and power. Peace and power, everyone. Um, we're back. We are on chapter 13 today. And so
Peace and power, everyone. Yes, we are back. Our Sunday reading, educating about our men. Very important.
right.
So definitely go get all your friends, family on. Send me this link. Let's get everybody on these calls. These calls are important. Oh, my name is Lisa.
You had to let them know your name.
Right.
Okay, so my apologies. The guy is texting about the trees. I'm gonna get those done too, because it's looking we got a branch down, leaning on the fence, taking up space. And so the trees, y'all, if y'all can't take care of your trees, they need love too.
Yes.
But
Yep.
yes, we are back. We are on chapter 13, and I'm grateful to be here. We are almost halfway through the book. It looks like this is going into the later half of the book, and so it's a good book. Oh, dang, maybe I should just put a picture of the book. We are reading Awakening the Masculine, and so we are reading this book to promote healing towards our brothers. It's something that's very important. Us as women that have sons, very important. This book is really, really good. And shout out to everybody who's been coming, showing up. Shout out to MMO. Our MMO family is supporting the book. We appreciate you. Um, just everybody who's just been replaying. We see the numbers. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And comment. If
Mhm.
you have something you want to add, and yeah, I haven't went through the comments. I'm gonna be honest. If you have commented, we appreciate you. I've been working, and so I don't have time to go over there yet. But by the time we finish the book, the comments will be up, and I do respond to the comments. And so I just appreciate everybody that's supporting the book big time. This is Lisa. I want to reintroduce you today. Anyway, we halfway through the book. This is my friend Lisa. Me and Lisa met at a Forex conference. Her son was throwing for our financial group. And our financial group is Money Moves Only. And we say MMO. So shout out to the MMO family. Seriously. These are investors, young and old. And so I say the younger generations and the wiser generations.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, just coming together and trying to heal financial trauma in our communities. That's very important when it comes to how we look at money and how we weren't necessarily taught to invest. That's the thing. We were just taught save your money in the bank and you work hard and you retire later. That's not living. That's surviving. And so um, to start shifting that energy, we have to start having these uncomfortable talks about finances.
Mhm.
And people think it is maybe not such a comfortable subject for everybody, but we all have suffered financial trauma in some kind of form or fashion. And so, in order to heal through something, you have to talk about it. You have to be able to move with the times. We are living in the age of technology, the age of Aquarius, and so technology is moving forward so fast. And so I appreciate my path, my journey, ending me up in the forex community. I learned how to trade. We talk about trade. We talk about finances. We talk about healing those things. And so to participate in that event, it was life changing to me because I had never been in the company of so many young investors,
Mhm.
people that are out there changing their lives and changing their families' lives. There was so many people that got into forex and were able to pay off their mom's homes or get their moms a home built. Just these type of stories, and it's worth it. It's an investment, and it takes 3 to 5 years to master, but it's life changing. And it was beautiful to see us in that space because it's not nothing that I was seeing on a regular, but just seeing us ourselves, a reflection of yourself in that space, and knowing that we change lives. And so shout out to MMO. The MMO is here. We're at the book club. Today, chapter 13 is what male culture by race and religion. And we're not gonna hold y'all. Let me count the pages.
It's 10.
Okay. So I'm gonna start today.
And before you start, let me just say one thing. And I know money is a deep conversation for everyone, families, and I know a lot of people they don't want to discuss, their money situations. But what we definitely want to encourage everyone is to, because we are in some difficult times, one thing you might want to do is start changing how you look at money. Start learning to invest. If you don't know how to invest, then definitely hit somebody up. I mean, you can hit Nina up or myself up, and we would definitely, give you a little bit more education when it comes down to money, because money is changing, and it's going to change fast. And if you don't know about it, or you know, um, if you're not into it, you will be left behind. And we don't want to see anyone left behind when it comes down to the money. So definitely, make sure you hit us up if you want some education on that as well.
Yes, and y'all can go over to my business page on YouTube where I discuss money talks and teach, actually pull up the charts and trade. And so if you don't, that's fine. Just know that technology is changing with you without you on board. Just like when the Bitcoin thing came about, it started out at like $2 a share, and now it's way up there. And how we are constantly in MMO and in the financial sector, we call poor. What is it? Poor. Is it passing over opportunities repeatedly?
Yep.
Passing over opportunities repeatedly. That's what we call poor. And it's like we have these opportunities, but we get in our own way by thinking number one, everything is a scam. There was a lot of people thought Forex was a scam, and then they don't think it's important until you see somebody buying their mama a house or buying whatever car you want or whatever it is, your thing. But it's real. It takes focus and time to learn how to trade.
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem is a lot of people don't want to be focused just for a little while. But yeah, I am Jupiter. Sage is governed by Jupiter. So money is gonna always be in constant flow towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And however I can assist it, whether it be trading or, investing, whatever, that's what I'm manifesting. That's just what I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
That's what we
I'm
do.
yes, yeah. Period. I'm not waiting to retire at like 60 something and still be living on a fixed income. I want to live my life right now in abundance right now. And so that's what we on. And we healing too.
Yep.
When you have enough money, you have more time to heal all
Mm-hmm.
of those traumas that we suffered. And so, yeah. But let's get into it. We're going to get into chapter 13, male culture by race and religion. Our goal is to understand masculine energy. Each individual man requires a system, model, or means whereby he can examine himself and determine the quality of his personal masculine profile. We are gradually building such a model by defining archetypes, categories, sets, cycles, development stages, etc. The definition of the positive and negative broadcast for each of the four masculine archetypes is very helpful. That is an integral part of the model we are building. As you examine this in respect to your own personal experience, it should be very revealing. We strongly suggest that you do not go to a negative place. We often have the tendency to become depressed or disappointed when we measure ourselves and fall short of the highest mark. As we have stated before, most men are not expressing all four masculine archetypes today. Very few men, and this is a fact, not a point of criticism. The author has made statements about religion, about money, and about energy. Perhaps it may seem that a personal attack is in progress about all your personal traits. We urge you to resist looking at it that way. The point of all this analysis is to enable you, the individual man, to make meaningful changes that add to the quality of your life. We have also touched on the subject of worldview. We believe this model, through which we determine our male energy profile, should also show us how we as men fit into a broader framework of all of the overall society and male culture over time. For example, some define the modern culture in the Western Hemisphere as being patriarchal and male centric. Is that really true? If so, what does it matter? How does the cultural history influence one man's individual goal of personal development? In the modern machine culture where technology plays such a heavy role in determining what is relevant in our private life, we have to ask, is the discussion of culture even relevant anymore? Our opinion is that things like family, marriage, sexual relationships, sexual performance, personal identity, and well being remain relevant over time. And thus, culture should be important, even if it becomes very vague at times. So, before we get deeper into the more straightforward discussion of how to awaken the four male archetype energies, male reproductive health, tantra relating to the female, and such, let's spend a little time with some very basic cultural discussions. We will begin with race because racial and ethnic culture are the primary shaping factors in what determines the role of a male in society and what is considered proper behavior for a mature man. The definition of racial attributes. It appears that at one time there were four main races. At the beginning of this age, about 10,000 to 11,000 years ago, there were four races. Over time, the races have mixed to such an extent that a pure DNA template of any one race will be hard to find. I disagree, but I digress. Genome, the originals are still around, and the bloodlines are still pure. There are still some pure blood. But anyway, genome science has made great progress in the last decades, and I believe it will bear out much of what I am saying here. But DNA science is relatively new, and many of the discoveries are yet to be made. The footprint of the African gene is well established. The footprint of the Asian gene is well established. When the European and Native American stocks are considered, things are a little more vague. That is, a central uniform template is harder to identify. And when he says Native Americans, he is not talking about the American Indian. Just want to try to be clear. He's talking about those that migrated across the Bering Strait. They have mostly a seafood diet and they live in cold climates. and they have Asian phenotype. They look Asian. But anyway, okay. The footprint of the Asian gene is also well established. When the European and Native American stocks are considered, things are a little more vague. That is, a central uniform template is harder to identify. That does not mean it does not that does not mean it did not once exist. There are four main blood types: O, B, A, and AB. That is what we find today, but I believe in the past there was another blood type which more truly reflected a racial type before 9,000 years of mixing. Again, this cannot be proven, but we can see evidence to support my theory in the study of linguistics of languages. Evidence shows that about 11,000 years ago, the human population on planet Earth was severely reduced by some type of catalysm. Some say it was a volcano, others a flood, others speculate that a meteor hit the Earth. We do not know for certain, but it seems that after that four distinct races emerged. There may have been other races as well, and it is logical to assume others may have survived, but these others did not flourish. The makeup of these four races is elemental in nature, meaning each race had or has an affinity to one of four main elemental energies. These four elemental energies are termed earth, fire, water, and air. This assignment of race to elemental energy was not arbitrary, but part of the plan of nature. I'm just laughing about something in my head. But we're going back to the planetary energies: the earth,
Mm-hmm.
the water,
Yep.
the fire, and the air.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this assignment of race to elemental energy was not arbitrary, but part of the plan of nature. These assignments were as follows. The Asian race is assigned to the attributes of the air elemental. The Native American race is assigned to the attributes of the earth elemental. And by Native American, he does mean American Indian. We were the hunter gatherers. We planted food and we hunted. We have to get back to that.
Yeah.
The African race is assigned to the attributes of the water elemental, and the European race is assigned to the attributes of the fire elemental. Let us note for the record that the names given above are not the proper names. Okay, I'm glad he said that. We suspect the real names of the races, if they ever had names, have been lost in time. Africa is a continent of land and not the name of a people. Asia and Europe are continents and not the names of races. Some ancient texts refer to black people, African people, people of very dark hue as Ethiopians. Also in old texts, the people of Europe are called Nordic, Aryans, Germans, Gentiles, and Caucasians. There are too many names of the various Asian peoples to name. Aryans also refers to the race of people who fled to Atlantis before that continent sank. It is confusing, and we do not wish to offend anyone. So the common names used by scholars, African, European, Asian, will be used. Native American is another tricky term. There is a distinct race of people indigenous to the Western Hemisphere known as the Americas, but evidence suggests heavy mixing of the recent Native American populations with both stocks from Africa and Asia. Those in South America are not the same as those in North America. The prime racial attributes are important. They are part of the foundation over which Other natal attributes are overlaid. It is part of your blood and a portal through which the DNA of your ancestors finds expressions. The, the psychological and behavior traits assigned to a race derive from the energetic traits assigned to the corresponding elemental. These in turn translate into group behavior patterns, class structures, and distinct social patterns. This is not a flaw in human design. Humans are mirrors of distinct social patterns. This is not a flaw in human design. Oh, humans are mirrors of God. The deity patterns evident in the tree of life, the DNA, and the Bagua and natal astrology are also present in the design of the races. Each race is designed to express the traits of a portion of the deities more so than the entire tree of life. Just as some humans express one deity in their personality more so than other deities, the more we evolve from birth to death, the less this becomes true. Race matters just as your date of birth matters, your sign matters, your parents matter, and your past life matters. All of these contributions matters a lot. For all of these things determine which of the masculine traits in the human DNA your master masculine faculty chooses to bring your male persona on the line in puberty. There are hundreds of thousands of choices for all human DNA is essentially the same with the same possible choices, but your specific master masculine faculty makes very distinct and select picks. And you need to know why these come awake and some attributes that should come awake do not. And you need to know why this happens. And so this is very important too. Um, just men understanding that sometimes if you're not in the proper environment growing up, some of your master masculine may not come online, just the same as women.
Mm-hmm.
And so we grow up and then we're these grown children because certain parts of ourselves didn't all the way get turned online. And I say that with myself because I remember we was talking about in the feminine version. Um, and I'm gonna share it. We, well, me, I used to dress really girly, like really girly, heels all the time, hair done, just to the T.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain age, I realized it was attracting adult men. And so at some point that got turned off because I didn't want that type of attention.
Mm-hmm.
I always had a shape. I was very shapely. And so the attention that that was bringing, I wasn't comfortable with. And so then I went through the phase of dressing very masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just to, not draw that attention. I
Right.
went from skirts all the time to being just fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I was fresh as hell. And that's we talking our age, but that's what we call it. Like you out there, you got your Nikes, you got your when Mecca was popular, I have a Mecca outfit, like doing that thing. Your fresh Air Force Ones, but just in general, I didn't know at that time those were attributes of my master feminine, and that meant that some parts were being shut down and cut on, and some parts weren't being cultivated too. Because then little girls, just like with men, if a boy is growing up and not necessarily spending time with his father, and if his father is not into hunting or just certain behaviors, that would never come online in a little boys, little girls' time.
Right.
And so just thinking about it, that's what that made me think about, and how he was saying that your blood type does matter. Just like the heavy mixing, that's how our culture got lost. Because if you're constantly mixing with other people,
Mm-hmm.
culture gets watered down. And that's
Yeah.
why is important. It has nothing to do with racism. It is integrity. It's DNA integrity. Um, I've always valued us, and so I knew from young, I was going to be with the us. I want to procreate with the us because it does matter. And so, this is just deep. And he said that's just 11,000. We don't know the timelines because he was telling you dates, but we just know there has been a heavy mixing because America was, I say, 90% O positive at first. And now you have these other bloodlines, which are A, he said O, B, A, and AB. And so
Mm-hmm.
we always who can give everybody blood, but nobody can give O blood but O. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you can tell that it all does matter. We're not taught these things when you coming up in the public school because they don't want you to value you on some level.
Yeah.
And so, very interesting.
That is interesting. Because isn't there, based on your blood type, it's a certain diet that you should be eating?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I've definitely heard about that. And I am trying to figure out what that is. But yeah, it is a lot. We're not taught certain things in school, and you wonder why. And then as you get older, then you find out all these things, and now you're like, okay, I'm this old and I should have been known about that. I mean, for
Mhm,
me, you know what I
mhm,
mean? I'm gonna talk about, I'm gonna speak for me,
mhm.
because there's a lot of things in this book that I've read, and I'm just shocked. I'm learning
Mhm.
myself, but I like to learn every day. So,
Right,
don't ever think you're too old and, too old to learn, because you're not. It's just you're getting more wisdom,
right.
more wisdom.
Let me take a water break, y'all. Y'all know I'm not a reading machine, so I'm gonna have to drink some water.
Yeah, definitely go ahead and drink you some water. And even with the races, though, when he was talking about, the Asian, the Native American, African race, European race, I wonder how many people really know what they truly are.
I
And
mean,
if you don't know, I advise you to go. That's your homework for the day.
right. Go check it out. Go look.
Yep.
Ask your doctors or whoever you see for care. Your blood type. It
Mm-hmm.
matters.
That's right.
It matters. The four elemental forces. It makes sense then to describe the elementals. Why do the elementals convey traits and attributes of behavior to the racial groups? Elementals are not energy. Elementals shape and move and manage energy, and their function is not arbitrary. Elementals act upon energy based on the will and the laws of the creative forces. Elementals are not the same as matter, for they respond to consciousness and to some extent are conscious. The elementals are alive in a sense, not so much in an organic way of being, biologically alive, but in a pure sense that they are living things spiritually. They are not just corporal. We speak of fire, air, earth, and water, but take note that there is a liquid thing, water, and then there is also a spirit entity, water. And note that there is, um, and note that they are not the same. The spirit elemental water makes the physical water have the properties that it does. There is a spiritual elemental force, earth, which causes the land and rocks and minerals to condense together into a solid ball and remain as the physical planet we call Earth. The two are not the same. There is an elemental force we call fire, and it comes into action when we cause something to burn. If the elemental were not present, no burning action would ever occur. Water is the product of water elemental spirit, but not its only product. Fire is the physical manifestation of the fire elemental, but not its only product. Earth or solid compounds are the product of the earth element acting on atoms and molecules, but not its only product. Air is the product of the air elemental acting on those same molecules as earth, but producing a gaseous state versus a solid state. Fire. Fire elemental produces heat and increases in rate of vibration, releases bonds that hold energy in check or keep energy within confines. Fire breaks energy boundaries, releasing trapped energy. This release reduces mass and or transfers energy from a static state to an active state, and fire induces the fusion of unlike substances, activities, molecules into each other. Earth. Earth contains energy in static forms. Thus, the earth elemental produces coldness and contraction, converts the form of energy into a static state from an active state, thus creating mass or geometric structures, unifies like molecules, substances, activities into forms by obstructing the free flow, transfer, or release of energy, causes energy to express itself in such a way as to connect like things together, converts internal energy into fields of attraction that act to hold objects in the matrix that conform to specific geometric shapes. Air. Air elemental produces dryness and expansion. Air is the opposite modality to water, and each deal with the relative hydration and abstract relationships. Air decreases hydration, maintains charges, and thus promotes rigidity, restricts activity across mediums, and promotes frictions, thus impairing interaction. It imposes order, and through the attributes of order and rigidity, allows for refinement and organization without disturbing the energy boundaries or mediums, supports mediums, inhibits mixing, and is thus the medium of refinement. Water. The water elemental generates the modality of moisture, wetness, and fluidity. Fluidity. Wetness and fluids,
Fluidity.
fluidity,
Hmm.
fluid. Yeah, I don't judge us. I'm telling you, I'm gonna mess up some words. Fluidity. It increases hydration and thus gives the attribute of fluidity. Moisture and fluidity instill the properties of lubrication and softness. Water induces penetration as its fluidity allows circulation and dissolving, promotes a relationship by allowing energy to penetrate across boundaries to connect two entities without disturbing or destroying the boundary. Water is the medium of relationship and therefore yields to energy and acts as a catalyst for change and or transition. The transition of water is the opposite of the transition brought about by fire. Let us be clear. Every human, regardless of race, is human. Each human manifests the same primary DNA traits first. The racial traits are an overlay, a secondary thing. They are a predisposition to bring forward one set of traits into the active queue versus another set. That is all. We are not bound to this predisposition nor governed by it. It is not good or bad. The racial traits are an overlay, a secondary thing. They are a predisposition to bring forward one set of traits into the active queen versus another set. That is all. Yeah, so it has nothing to do with racism. As I said again, a lot of people when you saying, "Oh, you pro us, you pro who," oh, that's racism. It's reverse. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's just an overlay.
Yep.
And that's what he just said. So I'm looking here, Lisa. Now it ain't 10 pages because the last couple of pages is the chart. So I'm gonna upload the chart. I'm gonna stop at. I'm gonna read this page. Now maybe I should stop at the attributes of the European race. What you think? One, two, three.
No, you stop at the end of this page.
At the end of it.
Yeah. And then I'll take the next five.
Okay. But that's what I'm saying. It's not five. One is a chart. So I was trying to give it back to you because one is just a chart. But I guess you still have to read the chart. So
Yeah.
okay. The attributes of the Native American race to the Earth. The attributes of the Native American race, the Earth elemental. So we're finna go into the different races. The Earth elemental is the modality of community. It brings about peace. It obstructs the transfer and release of energy and thus tends to restrain negative.
Wait a minute. Nina, go back. Go back.
What?
We on 101.
Oh. I done went forward. Okay. Oh, thank you, Lisa.
We on air, huh? We on air.
Okay. Okay. The attributes of the Asian race, the air elemental. The air elemental generates the ability to dry out tissues. It supplies the body's ability to generate dryness and rigidity. It is the ability to repel or control moisture within boundaries. It is the sealing of it is the sealing of cells or compartments within membranes. It is the ability of containment, restriction, hardness, and is the medium of refinement. Members of the Asian race are yang type. They have an affinity for activities that engage the left brain. Relative to other races, they have advanced skills of organization, a strict class structure, dignity, a marital nature, well defined societal roles, and a strong sense of the importance of boundaries. All of this adds up to a heightened degree of refinement in their social systems and social expression. This refinement can be seen in the way this race expresses itself in art, architecture, prose, and especially in the Chinese writing system and the practice of calligraphy. We see the influence of the air elemental in the martial arts and of in the martial arts of the Asian nations. The teachings of the air elemental are the source of the disciplines, are the source of the disciplines of Qigong, Taoism, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, and Yoga. Success in these arts depends on control of air, the breath. Um, and I just want to drop this too. When you're speaking Asian, we are considered a part of the phenotype group of Afro Asian. And so when you trace back our genealogy and the footprints of the things that were left behind, because remember, ancestors didn't just buy a house and live in it for 30 years. They actually traveled to different areas.
Mhm.
They traveled due to the seasons and all this other stuff. And so you can trace some of our footprints back to Asia. That's why a lot of us have slanted eyes and a sense. We all have cousins and whoever in the family that some has more slanted than others, but it all still It's a phenotype. And so you should definitely look into phenotypes. It is the structure of faces and also, like I said, things that were left behind. We left a footprint of corn, um, crops, different crops. The animals also migrate. And so as we were migrating and hunting different animals, we were getting different sources and vitamins because we weren't eating the same thing every single day. Y'all know we going to the grocery store, you generally gonna be buying the same stuff all the time. And so I think that's where a lot of the deficiencies lie when you're dealing with anemia and just all this stuff, different types of deficiencies, is because you're not getting what you necessarily need from nature. Everything is cyclical, it goes in cycles. And so you might go through a season of not wanting meat necessarily. And that could be something that's in your DNA because the ancestors used to hunt. They didn't used to eat meat all year long. It was seasonal. They would fish in certain seasons more. And so you have to look at the big picture when dealing with stuff like this. Did anything stand out to you, Lisa? I don't want to keep reading
Um, I mean, a lot of stuff always stands out to me. I just get a lot of education with this. You know, yeah, yeah. I mean, you can go.
it.
You
Okay. Okay. The attributes of the African race. The water elemental. The water elemental is the energy modality of relationships. It imparts the ability to hydrate the living organism and, by extension, the spirit body. In a vacuum, sound flows in wave patterns similar to the manner in which water flows in wave patterns. In the spirit world, water and sound are related. Sound penetrates boundaries without destroying the energy in the boundaries. Members of the African race are a yin type. They have an affinity for activities that engage the right brain. Relative to the other races, they have an advanced social skills. Like water, they can conform to fit the vessel into which they are poured. Like water, they are fluid in their social interactions, yielding when stronger forces are encountered, but not breaking. Africans act as catalysts, promoting interaction between other peoples and the mixing and mingling of ideas. Water is durable by nature, and in nature, it promotes germination. In human nature, it promotes an enhanced imagination and the ability to create mentally and spiritually. The water people are intrinsic, intrinsically spiritual. It is in their blood, in their auric bodies. It manifests in their propensity for religiosity, religiosity, their affinity for spiritual systems, and their intimate relationship with the ancestors and deities. It is said that the ethereal substance of Amensa is like water, that yin thing from which all things came. Thus, Africans have an affinity for the origins of things. In society, this manifests as the investigation into the cosmology, the archetypes, and the astrology. Like the waves of the ocean upon a beach, the water elemental expresses itself as a rhythm. In music, art, prose, speech, dance, work, and all social activities, this instinctive rhythm is expressed. It manifests especially in song.
mm,
And so this right here it just made me think about, yeah, that makes sense because we see the African race come here and it's like they're able to come from some heavy culture into European culture and blend in very well. Too well, if you ask me. No offense, but I'm just gonna say what it is. Especially those of that particular group that have been speaking out about how they have come here and have made it past the real American Indians. and how they work hard and we're lazy. They have started speaking out in this manner um towards the American Indian. My thing is it makes sense for that water to be able to take the shape of whatever the vessel is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives me a little more understanding. But I'm just like, yeah, you taking form of a colonist, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a colonist mindset. If we weren't here and our ancestors weren't here on this land, there will be no land for you to come to and be
Right.
successful. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's be clear.
Yep.
And how many people have you heard that went to that continent and just became uber successful? This is the land of milk and honey.
Yep.
Everybody is eating off our plate. And we want to keep that clear, because it's kind of disrespectful to say that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I
But
agree.
yeah, it makes sense though, because he said that's the water element. So they're able to shapeshift into whatever is necessary to fill that space. So that makes sense. It gave me a little more understanding because I was looking at them sideways, honestly. I'm going to be looking at you sideways. So you going to pick
Mhm.
up right here?
Yep, man. Yep, yep, yep. Okay.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and upload the graphs.
Okay.
Okay.
The attributes of the Native American race, the earth element, the earth elemental. The earth elemental is a modality of community. It brings about peace. It obstructs the transfer and release of energy, and those tends to restrain negative and aggressive emotions. Earth represents contraction and the slowing of vibrations. It promotes construction of tissues and the collection of energy versus expenditure of energy. Cold supports the transport of nutrients into the cells. Earth contains, restricts, and connects. Native Americans are the most yin people with an affinity for activities that engage the right brain. Native Americans, relative to the other races, are advanced in their ability to create and maintain the unification of peoples into a civilized society. This is because they are able to navigate conflict and create common ground and compromise. They are grounded in both a social and spiritual sense. Native Americans are territorial. They feel connected, excuse me, they feel connected to the earth where they live. They never consider that they own the land. However, just that they were bound to it. They were caretakers. Their spiritual nature is bound to the earth. By this, I mean they live true to their word and maintain a value system that honors all life, animal, plant, and human. The social systems of the Native American consist of well defined roles suited to a simple architectural life. No, I'm sorry, agricultural life. The earth element brings out conservatis- conservatism and stability. The spirit of the earth elemental promotes loyalty, service, moderation, and an aversion to change. Wow, that was a lot. Anything you want to speak on before I move on?
Hold on. Yeah, because I don't want to even get into the habit of just reading through, um,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not really absorbing what's being said. So yeah, I'm looking like the earth elemental. And this was about the Native American.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the first one was the Asian race.
Right. So each race pretty much relates to a certain element.
Well, this speaks more so to us, because of the territorial. When he
Mm-hmm.
said that propensity to be territorial, and you look at stuff like, and I don't believe it's just us, but gang behavior. That's like territorial behavior. Even us, how we go out and we ripping our city where we from. Oh, and out in the house, and so it makes sense. It makes sense. And it
Yeah.
said they feel connected to the earth where they live. They never consider that they own the land. You
Right.
are an owner of this land. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And
You
that's
own
one
this
thing that they
land.
don't realize.
Hmm.
You do own.
This is your land.
It's like, we were not taught that.
Yes. And you took care of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have all these people here. They are constantly creating pollution. They constantly building, tearing down nature to build highways. And it's all on your land because you don't know you at home.
Mm-hmm.
You've been pointed to other places and other continents by everybody. And so, but yeah, what stood out is they don't consider they own the land. However, just that they were bound to it. They were caretakers. Like, no, you didn't take care of the land, you cultivated it. It's your
Mm-hmm.
land, you know? And so the spiritual nature is bound to the earth. But they say they live in, but I mean, they live true to their word and maintain a value system that honors all life. Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's true.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then it said, it went further to say the social systems consist of well-defined roles suited to a simple agricultural life. I've been saying that we were hunter gatherers.
Yep.
We gathered the crops, we hunted in season. You didn't eat this stuff all year round. That's throwing stuff out of balance right now. The earth elements brings out conservatism and stability. Promotes loyalty. Yeah, this was fully. It hit on several points, stuff we've
Mm-hmm.
been talking about. So, yeah. Okay.
Alrighty. The attributes of the European race, the fire elemental. The fire elemental is a modality of fusion. The spirit modality, allegorically named fire, is the ability to generate thermal energy. The modality of heat is the raising of vibrations and the activation of energy. It is metabolism, the burning of fuel in the cells, expansion of tissue, and the rush of adrenaline. Fire is a modality of consumption. Fire excites. It causes a change in state by removing the boundaries between things so that things that were separate are no longer separate. Fire destroys the existence of complex organisms and systems by reducing these to their constituent components. Fire clings by nature to what it burns. Europeans are yang type and have an affinity for activities that engage the left brain. Europeans, relative to other races, have an enhanced ability to harness energy and make it to do useful work. Fire people are aggressive, stemming from the role of fire in the releasing of the bonds that hold energy. Fire enhances a degree of mental alertness. It is not a trait of increased intelligence, but the ability to perceive what is needed. The fire imparts the attribute of charisma to this race and an enhanced ability to communicate from the left brain perspective. Europeans, however, do not respect the boundaries or rights of other people. This is true personally and as a group. Fire destroys boundaries by releasing the bonds that hold energy in static forms. The lack of respect for boundaries is a huge problem in the dealings between a man and a woman. Fire clings to its fuel and must have a fuel to burn. This makes fire unique from the other elements. Fire is dependent upon the other three elements. The other three elements are enhanced by the action of fire when it is directed and regulated naturally. Undirected, fire destroys completely, even itself. Fire is the light, and in its higher form, it instills a desire to lead an inspired life and to inspire others. European men must take heed of this allegoria. Beware of the lack of respect of boundaries by the European female and other males. Beware the need of fire to cling to the thing it loves. There are do's and don'ts for each of the races. Unfortunately, the mixing of the races makes my comments less relevant to each individual, even though these comments are no less accurate in general. Wow. So that was deep. What stood out for me there was when he said the lack of respect for boundaries is a huge problem in the dealings between a man and a woman. Why is that doing that? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, so that really stood out for me.
It really did. I highlighted it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It destroys boundaries.
Yeah, and then when he said, he just said the lack of respect for boundaries is a huge problem in the dealings. Yeah, that's what I highlighted. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
anything after that. Mm.
Yep,
But
that's
I didn't pay attention to fire being dependent on the other three elements.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that's deep. I can see where it is a fusion because of it it's in one form, then it transfers into a totally different form. Fire clings by nature to what it burns.
And I even never noticed that. Like it's actually clinging to burn.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be holding on to something.
It's like it's the start. It's the beginning. It excites.
Right, right. And it says that it releases other energy. And so when you're looking at a fire, how it crackles and pops and because the more it burns, it's releasing that energy in it. That's deep. Yeah, it is.
It's the light. It's in its higher form. It instills a desire to lead and inspire life and to inspire others. Hmm. I didn't think that it inspired others, but I guess it does.
Yeah, because that's the fire element. Going back to Aries,
Yeah.
is the start of something, that spark, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Like a new beginning.
fire is the light. And that's why they say sometimes you have to, like the Phoenix. Speaking of Phoenix, shout out to the Scorpios. We are in Scorpio season. Scorpio is the Phoenix. So sometimes great things come from losing it all or it all burning down. Those ashes turn into a another form of life, like we read in the Kabbalion, and
Mm-hmm.
it fuels for the sprouting of other things. And so that's why you're not supposed to be down really when you are at a loss, because you losing is just making room for new things to come in,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly better things.
Yeah.
It's that fuel. I think of that just my personal experience and the changes and the shifts that we're about or that we've been going through. Because I'm saying about, it's already started. And it's like that. Sometimes you'll look at it. Hey, Indira, shout out to Atlanta.
Hey, Atlanta. Atlanta in the house.
Dry what city and state y'all reading from? Um, yeah, it's just some stuff when you put it to rest. We have to remember that Scorpio season is a cycle. This is when things start to die off. I was listening to the Hood Healer this morning, and a guy on there was talking about how the death fuels new life, and
Mm-hmm.
how when people say they love fall, these are people that love the smell of things dying. You never paying attention. The leaves are
Mm-hmm.
dying at that point.
Mm-hmm. They are.
So shout out to all fall babies. Shout out to us. Okay. But yeah, Scorpio season is about things dying away and taking those things, and as they, I say, degenerate over the winter season.
Mm-hmm.
When spring is about to emerge, you'll see seeds starting to sprout. They've been in that cold, dark place, and then they grow into big, beautiful, strong plants. The roses coming in the spring, just all this stuff, and it's just same thing with us. We have to learn when things are dying away. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to stay that way. That after that particular cycle, and you accepting that cycle, then you're making room for new things to sprout. And that's how I'm looking at it. It's like, yeah, it's time. Like a renewal of one's energy.
Yeah.
And that's why I
Yeah.
say I love Lisa and all my friends because we're all transitioning and going through big changes and trying to just stay light about it and transmute that energy into something beautiful. We both have in common we want to help people. And we both have in common that healing is important. And so that's why we read and just, get into this stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. And I can know for me, and this gonna be deep for me. Prior to us beginning reading, back in July, I did lose someone I was with for 38 years, and for some reason today, I'm just, I don't know, just feeling some type of way. So I did kind of shed some tears prior to us reading, but I do know we are in the season that we're in.
Hmm.
So I am still healing, and I just pretty much take it day by day. So yeah, I don't know why I wanted to say that, but anyway, I just wanted to share
I'm glad you did. That helped somebody else because people need to know we're not just reading robots. We are actually people going through stuff.
that.
Um,
Yeah.
glad you shared that. I told Lisa on this week personally. I was struggling at the beginning of the week, and it just seems like when November comes in, I get into a place of the blues.
Mm-hmm.
So the beginning of the week, it was just all this energy, and I had a moment where I needed to shed some tears. And then after the moment passed, I went to sleep and I got up and then I didn't let it allow it to linger. When I was younger, I used to let it linger.
Mm-hmm.
So it would turn into me being into a state of retreat from my family and friends for months sometimes. I would go through the whole winter season just in retreat, and nothing wrong with that. Bears hibernate,
Mm-hmm.
if that's why I tell you, if you feeling like you need to rest in the season, rest because you know that energy will be renewed in the springtime.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to give yourself some grace, and so it's just when you are a mom or whatever, it's just like you don't have time for it to linger, and so you feel through it,
Mm-hmm.
heal through it, and then you deal with it like you say on a day to day basis. See what tomorrow brings. Honor yourself in all your moves, though. You're not supposed to be walking around here smiling all the time. That's not normal.
Yeah, that's fake.
Yeah, that's that counterfeit personality.
Mhm.
Everything's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was sharing with Lisa. I felt like this week I showed up as a counterfeit because it really was a true moment, and I never voiced or talked about it. It's just like, okay, you know, let me just show up anyway. And that's okay sometimes, but it's not real.
Right.
Nobody is smiling 24/8. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Right.
Okay.
And if
So,
they is, then something wrong with them. You better,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
something wrong with them.
But yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to go to the next chapter: manhood development and the education system. A boy or young man should modify his training to take into account the racial predispositions. This will bring good fortune. Let's look again at the 5 life tasks we have assigned to the male adult. The general tasks, roles of an adult male, are father role, husband role, warrior role, provider role, and tribal participant. There is little formal preparation in modern society to prepare a man to assume any of these roles. Let me read that again. There is little formal preparation in modern society to prepare a man to assume any of these roles. They are not deemed important for the most part. Corporate entities and regional governments control the agenda and funding for most important social institutions. The governments are controlled by corporate entities and a few powerful central figures. Thus, the governments are not responsive to people's needs, but to the needs of industry to have consumers. For the most part, common people are too busy working and solving crisis after crisis to do much advanced planning about such things. Speak about training males to be men, and the people with money and time leave the room. There is not enough profit in it. Men are pretty much on their own. Each man will need to fashion his own male training regimens. He should alter existing programs and activities to do this, and this will look slightly different for men of each race. For each race trains and learns differently. There are 4 basic types of education system in the world, based on the fact the brain reasons in 4 primary modes. The brain arrives at conclusions and makes a judgment based on one of 4 processes. These are integration, synthesis, deductive reasoning, and inductive analysis. Deductive reasoning is linear, left brained, and microcosmic. It separates the subject, into small parts and analyzes each one in turn based on the problem. It is a process of being informed, of learning definitions. The conclusion is then deducted from the information gained from the parts. Inductive analysis is abstract, left brained, and microcosmic. It separates the subject into its components based on the like functioning of the components. It then employs abstract analogies to work backwards from the desired conclusion to determine what steps must have been involved to get to that conclusion. We understand one thing. By comparing it to another thing, synthesis is holistic, right brain and macrocosmic. In synthesis, you start by an examination of the big picture in respect to how the parts of the whole fit because of the system that connects them together. You are not so concerned with knowing the parts, but an understanding of the synergy that allows the system to work. Integration is intuitive, right brained, and macrocosmic. The mind does not come to a conclusion using this model. Instead, the subject is visualized in the right brain, then opens the mind to the proper conduits from which the answer can come. Wisdom about the subject is intuitive into the mind from the cosmos, from the subconscious, from ancestors, deities, elementals, and the ethers. The left brain must be stilled for this process, and the mind is in a trance state. Once these inputs are received into the right brain, the left brain must then figure out how to integrate these parts into a conclusion that makes sense. Often, the person will arrive at a conclusion and not really understand how they did so. In truth, all students of all races need to master some aspects from all four systems, but the approach must respect the racial attributes of each student in order to be successful. Good grades and diplomas are not a measure of educational achievement or intelligence. This is a false belief. Brain development, maturity, and the ability to achieve one's destiny in life are the only true measures of achievement. These four modes of reasoning translate into four educational models. Each of these educational models corresponds to one of the four elemental spirits and one of four races. That correlation is not exact. The most advanced system of education is the indigenous system of initiation, the African system. While we term it an African system, it has been used in other indigenous cultures, but not often. While other races can use this system, it is harder for them for reasons I will not go into here. Excuse me. It involves trance work. Answers are intuited right out of the blue. Those the scope, Thus the scope of how you can use this system is limited. From a practical point of view, it lends itself to creative thought and artistic process. But it is not practical for many applications and certainly has a downside in in a highly technical culture. The Asian air system is a least evolved system, but the most similar to how the left brain works. It is the system currently in use. That was a lot. I'm trying to find something that really stood out to me when it talks about the brain arrives at conclusions and makes a judgment based on one of the four processes:
Right.
integration, synthesis, deductive reasoning, and inductive analysis. That makes sense.
What makes sense about it to you?
Well, the brain processes, it
Mm.
processes whatever you do to certain extents, first it has to integrate. So it's just not, it's a thought that just comes to mind. Everything takes time, it goes through
Right.
a process. It was something else.
I'm just I like when he said good grades and diplomas are not a measure of educational achievement or
Mm,
success.
yeah, yeah,
Because that has become a whole thing of a class thing. People do think that.
yeah. And we always push our kids and grandkids, make sure you get good grades.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more to it than that,
Right.
you know? And wow, brain development, maturity, and the ability to achieve one's destiny in life are the only true measures of achievement.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to say?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start with the chart. And the first thing is yang and left brain educational models. The military academy, European left brain, microcosmic inductive analysis. Fire education system, regimented, students conform to central structure, designed by insect kingdom, complements the army, corporate, students learn best through team effort and by problem solving. Failure to advance results in punishment, and poor reflection on squad or unit. Western High School, University, Asian, left brain, microcosmic, deductive reasoning, air education system. Students advance by grades. Subjects are taught as separate units. Math and science are key curriculum. Students learn best by being informed by teachers and books. Failure to advance results in shame and poor reflection on family. Complements the government, civic institutions, and rigid class system. Designed by bird brain, cerebellum, and academic institutions. Okay, so those two were the yang, left brain education models. And now we're going to go with the yin and right brain educational models. The outdoor school, apprenticeship, Native American, right brain, macro, cosmic, earth education system. Students are taught by nature and ecosystem. The surroundings are the classroom, and the curriculum consists of the skills needed to master life. Complements the environment and community. Designed by the mammal limbic brain. Students learn best by communing with nature. Failure to advance results in denial of tribal privileges. The initiation system school. Indoctrination. African, right brain, macrocosmic. Water education system. Students are taught by elders and priests. Students learn best by visualization and trance work. Curriculum is Tree of Life and Liberal Arts. Complements the system of religion. Designed by the holy man brain and past experiences. Requires interaction with ancestors and elemental spirits. Failure to advance results in downgrade of hierarchy status. So this is definitely good to see, how all of the education, the models, what they consist of. Because I know for me, I've definitely seen the outdoor school and the initiation school.
Hmm.
Um,
And they're not a measure, but that's what we're measured upon. That's all on that, right? And not a measure, but that's what we measure upon. That's what we measure each other upon. I think you were coming on the good grades and diplomas not being a measure of in educational achievement or intelligence. And I've always said that, and I remember when it was time to go to college,
mm-hmm,
me and Dira actually went to hair college together, and that's when you had to take psychology to do hair because you're
mm-hmm,
dealing with people, you know.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so today, y'all going to these hair schools and not really learning how to deal with people on a psychological level because when
Yep,
you're doing hair, you're making you're affecting people's self esteem, and
yep,
so in that we went telling our age again, we went to school to study hair when you were required to take the psychology and all the other college entrance
mm-hmm.
classes before you can even get into college psychology, number one.
Right,
um but I say that to say that at that point I felt like maybe cosmetologist wasn't a good thing to be taken as far as college 2 year college program. But then I was good at it. It was me studying something I've always did and loved, and then also it was rewarding for me.
mm-hmm,
That's how I got into makeup and hair, and that's how I learned how to do my makeup and my hair, and and so I've always been into the health of it all. But I did feel like I should have been taking something else that would be, what society deems as a better focus of your time and your energy.
right,
And then I got over that because it's
yeah,
like, yeah, it doesn't take away from me going to college.
yep, that's
So
right.
that's that on that.
Yeah, I just know for me with the initiation system, the African right brain, the water education system, where it says students are taught by elders and priests. I can say I was taught a little bit by my elders, but I wish I would have been taught more.
Mm-hmm.
And I only the reason why I know that I was not really taught by my elders was because I was younger. My sisters and brothers, they were older, so they were always at my grandparents' house, where I was always with mommy. You know what I mean? Because I was younger. So I really wish I would have got to learn a whole lot more from them. Um, so now I'm learning from my aunts and uncles. which is cool, but it's nothing like your elders. So I miss that.
Right. Nothing like your elders.
Yeah. Yeah.
The stuff they gonna teach you, you're not gonna find in no school
Right.
or with younger people. Number one.
That's right.
But yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so this chart, let's see. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to go down. So we're going to start with yellow Asian. Okay, so the yin yang for the yellow Asian is yang. The brain is left. The planet is Mercury eighth square. And the social is government writing. And the vice is power. For the white European is yang, is left brain. Mars fifth square, technology, and money is the vice. For the melanated African is yin, right brain, Venus, seventh sphere, religion, and the vice is sex. The Native American is yin, right brain, Jupiter, fourth sphere, civilization, and stagnation is the vice. In general, this is like the situation where we discuss the four worldviews of the four male archetypes. Each archetype energy has a central strength and assisted with one of the main life tasks of the male. But without the other three archetypes, this trait also made him vulnerable and provided the central portal through which his problems were likely to come. In the same way, each man will find his natal or racial training modality will help him master one of the archetypes, but may actually hinder him as he tries to master the other three. Martial arts will help a man bring forth his warrior archetype, but should not be the platform he uses to master the relationship arena. That is healer territory, but the initiation system modality is difficult to master. How do you learn how to be a better father? That is a hunter function and also requires healer and eagle attributes. One size will not fit all here. Each man will need to figure out the best regimen for him. The Grand Trine system is uniquely designed to assist the male with the development of his masculine energies. It is a three-tier system that supports male development regardless of what their starting male archetype profile is. If you have the time and can afford the investment, it is strongly recommended. Wow. So that's the end of chapter 13. Any thoughts um, regarding what was just read towards the end?
I just appreciate how they put it in a graph because when you're dealing with the yellow Asian, they are known for number one mimicking things, which
Mm-hmm.
is still something that's mercurial, and Mercury deals with the thoughts, and so they can immediately see something and in their mind work out a way to make duplicates of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, just how he put white people in Mars makes me think about the movie The Avatar.
Mm.
How the fire people were trying to control all the other groups of powers.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing this by trying to scare people with the fire or attacking people with fire. Number one, it just points out they don't have any boundaries. Um, And then you go into the Black, African, and Native American, which is one people group. Okay, let's be clear. Um, well, not the same, but period. And so the Black African, sex being the vice,
Mm-hmm.
and religion, because when you're dealing with them, either they're heavily Christianized or they deal heavily in the ancestors and the root works and stuff like that. It makes more sense to me that they are water. They do a lot of spiritual work, and then you're dealing with the Native American Jupiter. No
Mm-hmm.
matter, and this is really the American Indian. No matter how they try to oppress us, we're still expanding, and everybody eats off of our plate.
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter's your coins and luck and expansion, and so no matter how they've tried to smother out your civilization by telling you the tribe is no longer here, that memory is coming online as a whole. And so we know that we're still here. We are our ancestors. Um, and then just they said that the vice is stagnation. So I think about, all the infighting and bickering. We can't really expand the way we want to, but we still expanding. It's just not benefiting us. It's benefiting everybody who's eating off our plates. And so I love the way he put that into the chart. It makes me think, especially when you know the astrology, just the Asian being Mercury, the eighth sphere, the white European being Mars, the fifth sphere. Um, and I'm just thinking this the eighth and fifth house, and then Venus the seventh sphere, and then Jupiter being the fourth sphere. So yeah, it makes sense. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad he did put it in a chart because it's definitely easier to understand, especially if you just have no clue like me.
mhm,
You know, it's
mhm.
much easier. Yeah.
All right. So next week we're gonna be on chapter 14, the superior man. Again, we are reading this to bring healing within ourselves. Us as women are the divine feminine. We have to learn to spend more time trying to understand that masculine so that we can heal. He
Right.
speaks at a point in the book where he's saying, even if a man doesn't have all those archetypes online, now that you know, you can push him towards those archetypes. You can assist in bringing those things online in that masculine. And so, this book is just good to me. I
Yeah.
have not, I have a confession, I have not been playing back the book like I did the feminine, but I am going to make it my point to go back and listen to all these chapters again because I do want to understand the masculine. For those of us that have sons, this is very important. How can you cultivate your sons the best if you are not in touch with the masculine energy? And
Right.
so, most good read, good read.
Yeah. Yeah. You know me. You know I'm always gonna go back and replay it because when we're sitting here and we're reading it, we're discussing it, but it's nothing like, if you're driving down the road and instead of playing that music or that song that you really like, throw this book on and read and listen to it again because, every time you listen to something, you always find something new.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely a good read.
So, Indira text. Indira, I don't know why you didn't put this in chat. School is the only way to segregate without saying so. It's held on a system created by masonry. Degrees end at 12. 12 degrees is what? 12 zodiac signs for what? It signifies completion under that particular indoctrination. Okay. So, wait, we have secured that we know masculine and feminine energy are not gender bound, right? The masculine and feminine energies are not gender bound. We all have masculine and feminine in us. Um, Myself being a fire sign, that's a masculine energy, but at the same time, I'm at a point in my life where I want to operate in nothing but my divine feminine, I want to rest. I want to care. I want to be cared for. I want to
Mhm.
love. I want to be loved. And so that's it goes back to when he was speaking about putting those boundaries in place. Because when you don't have knowledge of self, there's no way you can really have a successful relationship with another person. That's another thing. Culturally, we have been pushed to get in relationships early in life, because of religion, because if you're out of wedlock, that was looked down upon.
Mhm.
And it is not a good way to start out, because you don't even fully know yourself when you
Right.
are in these relationships. And then not to mention the changing that's gonna come about. um Karen Nissa said, I'm too masculine, I need some feminine energy. This is coming from my sis Karen Nissa. We love your masculine energy. That is still the spark. She is the reader. She
Mhm.
reads these laws and she knows them. That's Avery. That's masculine. It's logical. And so we all balance each other out. There's no such thing as being too masculine. I have a lot of water in my chart. And so when I call Karen this, what you can't count on is her getting on your ass about not reading something and calling her phone with that bullshit.
Yep.
Chomp you off real good. Did you
Yeah.
read it?
Yeah.
Just and so we honor your energy. There's not a such thing as too much. It's not about being balanced all on the inside with all these archetypes or elements. It's about acknowledging that we have people around us, and the people that are placed around you will balance you out. Where
Mhm.
I am weak, you are strong. Being your brother or your sister's keeper. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Not mastering perfection, but learning to work with the energies around you. She know I know now. Don't be calling her phone if I if I ain't read that
And
law.
wait a minute, I ain't even hit her up yet. So
Baby, listen, she ain't for the sensitive. She's not. And I'm not a sensitive person, so I appreciate that. But she gonna let your ass know now. If I done sent you some books and you ain't read it, then that's on you.
yeah.
You call over here thinking I'm finna be giving you every answer, and that's necessary. That's necessary.
Yeah. But you
Somebody
know what though? With her comment, I'm too masculine. I think a lot of us women might be pushed to be more masculine when we have to raise our children by ourselves.
Mhm.
If the father, the male, was there in the home, then we would be able to show more of our feminine. But because I
Right.
know for me, being pushed, out there, I had to be more masculine with my boys because I had boys. So I think we're kind of pushed into that a little bit more.
And then isn't like I said, it's not so much because when we first started reading these books, what we thought it was gonna explain to us is how to balance all four within yourself. But at the end of the book, that's not what he was speaking on. He was speaking on building community, and within that community, honoring those where they are strong, you are weak, having those people in connection with yourself. It provides balance throughout the community. It affects everybody. And then you're no longer having to operate in the counterfeit personality, because now you're not striving for something that's not necessarily attainable. Nobody's going to be 100% balanced. And so that's still a self hate thing, a esteem thing,
Mm-hmm.
because you feel like, oh, I'm not there, then who am I? And it's like, no, you matter. You matter to the community as a
Yeah.
whole. Where
Yeah.
are we? Even with me and Lisa, child, Lisa is going to ask you the same question because now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be like, Lisa, now, where was you at when I was? And I honor her in that, because what she gonna do is still ask that goddamn question.
Mm-hmm.
Now she gonna deal with the response. She's like, yeah, I've been all over. She gonna let you know, but at the end of the day, it's honoring self and still not allowing somebody not to hear your question. And I do the same thing with Ken Newsom. I be like, I know I'm getting on your nerves, but I need to know. And so, and even if she cuss me out and tell me where to go to find it, that's still us building community.
Yeah.
Because you have to get to know people and how they operate in order to have relationships, period.
Right. Right. That's true.
So if you can't show up as your genuine self to me, I never really get to know you. And that's
Hmm.
what I love about her. She's not afraid to speak her mind, her story, and she's not afraid to be herself to new people. Because some people meet you and then they'll be a certain type of way
Hmm.
and it don't really be the real them. And that's the
Hmm.
same thing with Lisa, all my friends, I say, we show up genuinely. We're actually working on that counterfeit, not showing up as a counterfeit. And so, and then whatever my thing is, Sage, we have our own little qualms and quanks to where we piling all this stuff on our plate, and then we be stressed out and walking around and acting like everything's okay.
Right.
And it don't be. We
Yeah.
be showing up as a counterfeit a lot of the times. And so it's just about knowing self. And I was just say, you balance it through giving yourself grace and honoring yourself where you are short. You can't just honor where you are, the things that you're good at. You got to honor the things that you're not so good at as well. That brings about balance. And
Yeah.
so,
That's right.
yeah, I'm looking. So Indira, she said she listening to this, but dissecting it under her understanding of masculinity. Cause she a butch, and y'all, Indira is like she looks so soft and gentle, but then when she speak to your ass, you know she a OG. She looks so soft, so she might be a butch. Okay, uh, so you want to show up as the energy you're trying to also provide, hoping that it's reciprocated, meaning that you give time for the other person to tune into your energy frequency. I have to make sure I'm as open to let others tune into my frequency authentically. Yes, because we talk about that a lot too. How you'll be saying you want good friendships and you'll be saying you want good relationships, then but when people show up, you are protective to the point you don't put up a boundary and you never can really fully get to know that person. Shout out to all the people that I've been getting to know. We actually meet up and see each other and spend time with each other. And you got to get out of the thought process that somebody got to jump through hurdles and things to get to know you.
Right.
That it's not right. It's not right. And so, yeah, you have to be open.
Yep. Alrighty.
Okay, so I just been invited to a barbecue. It's 80 degrees here, so I'm definitely getting out today. We out here in the streets. So if y'all don't want to join on, hop on. That's fine. We appreciate everybody that commented today. Shout out to Karenissa, Rachel, Indira, everybody who's stopping in. Shout out to MMO again. That's our financial group. Y'all ain't gonna respect it right now because we in the process. But when we hit them heights, y'all gonna see us stun, and we don't want to hear
Better
that.
come check it out.
Yeah, we don't want to hear that. When we hit them heights, we're gonna be popping our collar. We ain't really gonna have time for you talking about you should listen. We ain't gonna have no patience for that. We ain't giving no grace for that. So um y'all gotta be open. This is Scorpio season. Scorpio deals with wealth, generational wealth, also the DNA structure. We talked about that a great deal today. And I love the number 13. We're on chapter 13, Scorpio season, perfect time. And so we are reading this book to experience getting to know our men better and to assist our men in healing on a different level. Us as women, we're always chasing healing, but if the men ain't on board, then we still are stagnant as a group. That we're not separate outside of them. They are the unhealed us still. It's a reflection, and so yeah, but yeah, I appreciate all y'all. Everybody who brings something to the table. Karen Nilsa, let me show you since you here, girl. Hold on.
She got something for you, Karen Nissa.
Listen, since we give me all my stuff, I ain't lying. So I went yesterday. I spent 2 hours at the Office Depot. getting my buns put on the paper. You know what I'm saying? I got my buns, my coins, and when we hit them heights, y'all better be ready. And the time is now, honestly. Um, you can start next year, but you're gonna be a little behind. Scorpio season is about not just retreat, but working on the details
Right.
of what's gonna be the foundation of your plan. Me and Lisa, we've been over here in hiding because we are listening to these videos. We got Karen Nissa leading the way. Um, and we trying to get our states together. Scorpio deals with estates. You get what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody who's here again, and we're gonna go on and get out of here. We going back outside today.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that came. Thank
Right, 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 right. So we're gonna get out of here. Peace, everybody. Oh,
peace.
hold on, Lisa. Plug your platforms. Plug your candles.
Okay. So I am Lisa again, Apples Forever Scents on Instagram and YouTube. If you are interested in candles, I make them by order. Um, I would love to connect and work with you. I'm a creator and always creating. So definitely hit me up.
Right, and I am Nina. For those of you that don't know of Styles by Nina LLC, we are going into big changes. Styles by Nina is about to go through its own little transition as a business, and so I appreciate everybody that's rocking with me. We're going to start working on more consulting. I have been in the business world since my first job. My first job was at the Social Security Administration, and so this is what I do. So I'm gonna start opening up to consulting you all on how to get leveled up too, because it ain't no fun if just only a few of us are at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why they say the top be kind of lonely. Yeah, you have your coins, but ain't nothing like impacting lives along the journey. And so I will be doing more consulting work. We are coming out of the body butter. It is okay. It'll still be made. Orders will still be processed. But we want to focus more so on things that impact the community as a whole. And so I'm going to keep you posted. Don't forget to go over to Twitter. I'm Urban Intellectual at Styles by Nina on Twitter. And all my other platforms are Styles by Nina, LLC, or just Styles by Nina. Also, don't forget my podcast, y'all. I do a podcast, believe it or not. It is called, and I know I should know it, but it's all right because it was a podcast that I go on in incognito. You can come on now. It's open to anybody. We don't use our real names, and the name of it is Combos from Cloud Nine.
Hmm.
So go on there and talk about whatever you want up under alias, and not be worried about somebody having to find it. But yeah,
Okay.
go look me up. I'm on major platforms. My little plays are picking up on my podcast, and I ain't did one in a minute. Maybe me and Lisa hit the airways, the radio airways sometime soon too. Also, Katie's Alchemy. Y'all don't forget Katie's Alchemy. I'm gonna show y'all. This is my grandmother. This is my business. My grandma was my baby, and I want to show y'all. I did my virtual background so y'all can see it. That's my grandmama. I love my granny, and so it says healing starts at the root of who you are. So we can put all these things on the outside of our temples, but until you know who your ancestry is in, your bloodline, your blood type, why it does all matter, until you know that, there's no healing. And so that's another reason why we're reading this book. Someone told me I don't have no am I posting the same comments? Yeah, excuse me. Let me see. Oh, that ain't it. Oh, so that's all the comments. I don't know why I scrolled up like that. But yeah, we're gonna go on and get out of here. Don't forget to follow both of us, subscribe to our social media. Um, we out here in these streets. We have been off of social media a lot though, because we have been studying. but it's okay. Once we get our processes done, we will come back to teach the processes. We want to show up in a more authentic way. And Karen Nissa said that too. She doesn't teach because she wants to go through the whole process first, so
Mhm.
she know that she know. And you have to honor that in people because there's a lot of people out here teaching things that they have not actually done themselves.
Right.
And so, yeah, we're gonna go on and get out of here. Everybody enjoy your first day of the week. Peace and power. And I'm out.
Peace and power.